All right, guys, let's get off the rails. It's Thursday, and you know we're not supposed to have any fun this week. Everything is serious, everything is sad, and just horrible. And if you're watching the news, but we'll try to have a little fun today. We'll try to. My buddy Matthew Marsden is here. He's on the couch. Last time he was here, you were covered up with people. Sarah was on here and all that. Yeah,
I was. Yeah,
glad you're back.
Thanks for having me, man.
Let me get this straight. So you grew up in the UK. Mm-hmm. And then you bounced out of there. We'll get into that. You bounced out of there, went to California. Were you already doing movies when you were in the UK?
Yeah. I always look at it as if it's a filter system, right? So, in the UK, you want to be an actor, you're never really going to get any work as an actor. But if you do get work as an actor, you're going to be doing community theater. That's about as high.
I was going to say, you're doing Shakespeare stuff, yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to be like a big star, but, if you kind of get through that level, then you might go into the West End, which is, the equivalent of Broadway. And then if you do well there, you might get onto television. If you do well in television, you might get onto movies, British movies. And then if you get into British movies, then hopefully you get across to do American ones. So that's actually what happened to me.
Is that the route you took?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So did you like every step of the way, or were you doing it to get to the movies?
I was doing it to get to the movies. It's a great. I've never been asked that question.
I'm a great interviewer.
Yeah, you are. Not just a pretty face, baby. No, pretty face, baby. No, I didn't want to. There were a lot of guys out there that were really exceptional at Shakespeare, and they were really great on theatre. In the theatre, and I loved it, but I loved creating new things more, right? I wanted to create my own characters rather than go and do Hamlet again when there's been all these amazing actors before that have just done it brilliantly. So I was like, you know what, I really want to get into the movies, and movies were the initial spark for me. And those were American movies. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I want to be in British movies. I always wanted to be in American movies.
Like, what would be a big British movie that everybody like? What's a famous, well-known? Is there one?
All the Guy Ritchie movies, like Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels.
Nobody cares about all that stuff.
Yes, they do.
Nobody does. Who's the biggest actor? Like, who's the biggest current British actor? Like, if I say names, you'll say, no, they're from Ireland or Scotland.
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig's a big one.
Idris Elba.
Is he gay?
No.
He's gay.
No,
surely
he's not.
He is. I've heard stories.
Maybe just a bit.
Maybe a little bit.
No,
everybody
he's
is
totally
a little.
Not. He's not. You can't make James Bond.
Okay, no, you can. I think they're trying to.
I shouldn't have said that, should I?
Yeah.
Idris Elba, Ewan McGregor, the rest
Ewan
of
McGregor,
the majority of the cast of Black Hawk Down, to be honest.
Yeah, Colin Firth.
Colin Farrell is Irish.
Colin Farrell's Irish.
Yeah. Jerry Butler's Scottish.
Okay. What's the bald-headed guy in The Expendables?
Jason Statham. Yeah.
Is he British?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay, he's British.
Yeah. Now you got to be careful, British and English. You got to be careful.
Yeah. See, you got to be careful with that. See, that's where I start to get confused on stuff like that because I've never cared enough.
Yeah, me neither. You just say British, and then that gives you a pass.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like saying, "Are you?" Because if you ask Kiwis if they're Australian, they get very bent out of shape.
They get upset.
Yeah,
I have a business partner that's a Kiwi, and I've learned I can catch the nuances. Usually, if I meet someone, I can usually catch the nuances of the accent. But it's like asking a fat woman if she's pregnant. Like, you just don't want to go there.
You don't do that.
Even when you know she's pregnant.
Dude, I tried to get my wife, and she'd never do it, and she's been pregnant a lot. I kept saying, "Will you please, when someone comes up to you and says, 'Are you pregnant?' you should say, 'What are you talking about?'"
Yeah.
And she wouldn't do it.
Yeah. I knew someone years ago who looked pregnant all the time. And I mean, legitimately. And she got that a lot, and she got offended by it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but it's like, it's what it is.
Yeah.
It was like it was just an anomaly of her anatomy.
Yeah.
That was a mouthful right there. So you got out of there, you came to Hollywood, and I've gone through your IMDb before.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's a long list. You've got a lot of stuff you've done. You're a working man. Mm-hmm. You go out there, you do, and we'll just list off some things that people know. Like, you saved Rambo's life in Rambo.
I did, yeah.
You were Schoolboy.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they call that character Schoolboy? Do we know?
I don't know. You got to ask Sly that. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing right there. Little skinny Matt Marsden up in the trees in the rain, saves Rambo before he gets shot by the North Korean?
The Burmese, yeah.
Burmese. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, they run together. See, it's like the UK.
Yeah,
Asians, same with me. Runs together. I can't tell their accents apart either, though.
Right.
A little bit. But you save him. You're in Black Hawk Down.
Yeah.
You're in Transformers. Mm-hmm. Tons of stuff. I'm watching the TV, a year or so ago, and I'm watching Reacher, the series, and there's Matthew Marsden playing Reacher's dad. I called you on the phone. It's like, why didn't you tell me you had that part, dude?
Yeah.
But you actually read for the Reacher part.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Which is
I actually read for the actual role of Jack Reacher.
Of Jack Reacher, yeah. Who's one of the greatest literary characters in modern history.
Yeah, and then they were like, no, you're old now. You can play his dad.
See, that's bullshit.
I was like, tink. A little bit inside me died. I'm like,
but the guy that played Jack Reacher, he's kind of a douche.
I don't know him.
You can't say that, but I can.
I don't know him. I mean, I know he's great.
I've watched some interviews.
Okay.
I've watched some interviews. He's kind of full of himself.
Is he?
Yeah. I mean, if I look like that, I probably would be too.
Yeah, exactly. If you're like 6'5", good looking and jacked and making a lot of money, I mean, he's doing very well for himself.
But it's weird to me that they let Tom Cruise play that character in the movies, and then they're going to tell you in the series that you're too old. Because if you read the books, Jack Reacher is not a young guy.
No. Well, I mean, I think that, look, it's one of those series actually where they did it right. So we got to give them,
I agree,
total props for that. They did a really good job with it. So you'll take those wins because normally, Hollywood wokeizes it, and it's totally not woke. So I'll take the wins where you get them.
Yeah.
So I'm not really, but I think that when you get a franchise like that, you want it to go on for like 10, 11 seasons, hopefully. So you want a guy that's young enough to play it for that long.
Keep going. I wondered that about the books, because if you read the Lee Child's books, I was like, how can they keep going with this character who's 53 years old in the books? Eventually he's gonna be too old to walk into a bar room and break pool sticks over people's heads. But
they
do the prequels. They'll
do the prequels. And then I always said, they should have done a spin-off because, as you know, Lee Child wrote that Reacher's father made him look like Liberace.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying.
Matthew Marsden.
Available. Let's go and do a.
Yeah. He can turn some elbows 90 degrees the wrong angle. Yeah. So you go to Hollywood and you're not in Hollywood anymore. Several things transpire.
Yeah.
You're in Texas now.
I am.
You're still in the movie business.
Yeah.
But why what was your downfall from grace? Well, give us the play-by-play of that rise to power.
Well, I didn't play the game, and I basically got outed, even though.
Play the political game. You didn't drink the children's blood. You didn't
I was none
have
of
the
that
gay sex with Harvey Weinstein.
None of that. No.
Okay.
No, I was a conservative in Hollywood.
You're conservative in Hollywood.
Yeah, and that's not good. Because it doesn't matter if you just want to be left alone. Like, that's not enough, right?
Yeah.
You can't just doing your own business and you go and you make money. I mean, people say, well, Mark Wahlberg and all this. Yeah, but they had their success, right? And then they've come out and been very vocal. And
that's a good point.
Mark and Chris Pratt and those guys, they're all too big, right? Chris has got like 3 franchises, I think. Mm-hmm. And when you get to that level, they need you more than you need them. And what's really insidious about it is all it takes is for the phone to stop ringing. Mm-hmm. Like, that's it. You just don't get called in. Yeah. So if you don't get called in, you don't get put in front of producers. Because if you're a producer and you're doing a series, you're not really sitting there thinking, where's Matt Marsden? Like where is he? Why haven't I seen him? You're like, okay, I've got this production to do. And apart from my giant stars, like your Chris Pratts or whatever, like, they're filling those other roles in, right? So their focus is getting the production done. And so if you're not in front of them right there and then, they assume, he's working, he's not in town or whatever that might be. And then after a while, they don't see you, so you're not hot anymore. When they say, is it hot anymore?
Yeah.
You're not hot anymore, so you're not on the lists, and then you drop down, and then that's it. You're out.
So I've always said about comedians, because they'll say, well, how can, and it's gotten even harder, but how can Ricky Gervais say certain things that he can say, or Bill Burr can say, or Dave Chappelle, and yet people still continue to love them? And it's like, because that's what they came into the game with.
Yeah.
Like, they came into the game saying these things, they got big by being who they are, and now you can't cancel them. You could try, but you really can't cancel them, and they're still going to pop off with the same stuff that would get a new comedian canceled immediately, right? So I see that sort of like these guys, they came in, they had their values, maybe they flew under the radar for a while, then they got so big that you can't pull the purse strings on them because they're just so big.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know. Like, I remember when I was going out to Hollywood and we were pitching sitcoms and we were writing scripts and we were doing all these things, and I was like, there's no way they're going to work with me because they already know who I am. They already know what I believe. You know, when Roseanne Barr did her Valerie Jarrett thing, called her Planet of the Apes, and then came off and said, well, I was hopped up on Ambien. I'm sitting down across from the ABC executives in the studio lot, and she looks at me, she goes, first question, do you take Ambien? And I go, see, you're asking me that question because you know I'm a conservative. You immediately lumped me in with Roseanne Barr, right? That's not fair.
No, well, you're not seen as individuals. I mean, and I think that we pride ourselves on our individuality, right? And so there's no nuance. Like, for example, you're particularly screwed because you're conservative, but you say risky things. So you're not in that camp, right? They're not going to hire you over there. And over on this side of things, people might go, like with me, I don't know if you've noticed, but I kind of curse quite a bit. Even though there is a study that says that you are highly intelligent.
You're more intelligent if you curse.
Honestly, it's
Mom,
true.
Listen to Matthew Marsden. You got to believe this face.
Yeah, see? No, but
he fell out of the helicopter in Black Hawk Down.
So you and landed on my head. No, but you kind of, and I experience this, right?
Yeah.
Like, people kind of sanitize things when I'm like, okay, well, when you're walking around and you stub your toe on the corner of the bed, you don't go, oh, fiddlesticks. I mean, come on, let's be realistic. And are these things that we really want to limit our people from doing? Because there is an element of, if you want people to go into that sphere and fight, like, you've got to give them at least some tools, right? And that's what Chappelle, for example, I mean, every time I watch Chappelle, I mean, he's so brilliant, right? He's so brilliant. And you'll be watching him, and like in one of his recent specials, he said something that I thought was very, very pro-life, and he jiu-jitsu'd it, right? He came in at one angle and went and changed it. But he is the show.
Yeah. Right?
He is the show. With an actor, you are not the show. Right, there's multiple different people normally on the show. I mean, unless you're doing your sitcom, whatever, and you're the main guy, like Seinfeld's the main guy. But so it's they have the show already. Like, it's not contingent on you being the creator. And I think if you look at like Ricky Gervais created The Office, right? Everyone was like, that is brilliant. They made The American Office, and then he's too big. And then he did the greatest speech ever in the history of the Golden Globes. And I'm sitting there, and I've been there, right? Like, I know exactly what he's talking about, and I'm watching him skewer each one of them. And it's even better if you've been in Hollywood, because you know exactly what it's. Everybody know what Weinstein was doing. Everybody knew. And so when he called everyone on it, and he does it, and they're like,
the nervous laugh. Like, you were there, you know. And he called them out. He told them they knew.
Yeah, and so he's at the point where he doesn't care, and so now he's playing sold-out audiences all over the world, and good on him. You know, he came from nothing.
All right, we're going to go to the next level. Speaking of Matthew's career, just going to the levels, we're going to go to the next level. We're going to get into some stuff that might get us canceled in the next segment, okay? We're both canceled. It's all good, okay? It's all good. Let me make sure I'm in the right spot. Yeah, we're going to make everybody pretty. You want to be pretty like Matthew Marsden? Well, guess what? Genucell. Genucell. You got to get their dark spot package. How you like that transition into an ad read right there? Go to genucell.com/watchchad right now. Get their dark spot corrector. It's a must-have. After months of record heat and humidity, included with every most popular package, those sunspots, those brown spots, the discoloration, even the dry inflamed patches all disappear in front of your very eyes. I went to the dermatologist the other day. Just old. That's what she said. She's standing there looking at me. I'm naked, and she just says, "You're old." Okay, but you can take advantage of the Genucel most popular package, which now includes the dark spot corrector, plus the classic Genucel bags and puffiness treatment and immediate effects. Get all of it for 70% off, so you can try the best skincare in the world for yourself, completely risk-free. And here's the Genucel amazing guarantee. You're going to see the results day one, or they'll give you your money back. Go to Genucel.com/watchchad today. Start looking years, even decades younger tomorrow. All orders upgraded to free shipping. You'll see the results day one. You'll get the compliments everywhere you go, guaranteed. That's GENUCEL.com/watchchad. Genucel.com/watchchad. We'll be right back. All right, so you got a project you worked on. Our very own Sarah Gonzalez has she's got a line in that movie, and that it's coming out when?
It should be coming out in January.
And you just saw a screening of it.
I did, yeah.
And what's it called?
It's called Protocol 7.
Protocol 7. What's it about?
I'm actually under an NDA, so I can't talk about it right now. But it's let's put it like this: people.
That's why I'm asking you, because I didn't want to say.
Yeah, people who watch this show will be very, very interested in, and I can tell you, it's a really, really excellent film.
So at some point in time, I was on Sarah's show Monday, and I made the comment. I said, I'm not for RFK and his policies. I'm not for him as a candidate. I'm not happy that he's running as an independent, and nothing about it, any of it makes me happy. Although I walk lock, stock, and barrel with him when it comes to his vaccine opinions and stuff like that. Hint, hint. Not saying anything about the movie, but I told everybody, I said, read his book on Fauci, because it will make you want to go out and hunt that guy down. Right. It really would, because he's a garbage piece of trash. He really is. And you've gotten a lot of blowback because of the COVID vaccine and stuff, because, again, you're supposed to just bow down to the culture around you, especially the one that you're in, and you didn't do that.
Yeah.
And what was the results of all of that stuff? They come at you pretty hard?
Yeah, they did. I mean, I lost work. Surprise, surprise. You know, and it's funny because one of the most disappointing things I think about it is when people say, "Oh, well, you can afford to. You can afford to lose weight." I'm like,
no one can.
You can't.
No.
You just can't. And it's a silly approach because, all right, say I can. You can't when they come for you. They're not going to stop at me.
Right.
And we've said this about Trump, right? They're not going to stop at Trump. They're going to go to anyone else that disagrees with them. We've seen this all over. Saw it with Loza Fox over there in the UK. So yeah, I mean, I it's kind of funny actually the way that all started out, because I got COVID, and I thought it was very, very strange. Anyone that had it will tell you, right? I don't know if you had it.
I've never had it, but I've heard stories.
It kind of didn't feel like a normal virus to me. Anyway, I got it, and then I was like, okay.
So you're saying it felt synthetic?
It did.
Maybe even man-made,
like
you were being drugged.
It genuinely did, though. You know what I mean? And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, whatever that means anymore. I mean, I think that just means I'm saying something before it comes true, right?
Exactly.
But I remember I got sick, and I had like backache one day. The next day that was gone, and I had a headache. Like it felt like my brain was literally like covered in crepe paper, like you could touch it. Then that went. Then my lower back the next day. It was really weird. Anyways, and I always thought, when Trump was saying I'm gonna get the vaccine out, at that point we were all like, what is going on in the world, right?
Yeah.
They were showing like, do you remember those videos where they were like welding people into their houses in China, and people, and nobody talks about this anymore. Like there were people like walking down the street in China, and they were like,
and they just
I'm dead,
fall over.
All right, and so nobody's done any follow up on that at all. So,
I mean, as far as we know, those people are still welded shut into the apartment.
Yeah, they're still welded in, and they're all like that. Like, I don't know. But, so I got sick after watching all this. And I was welcoming, actually, the vaccine coming. I wasn't like a complete... I was like, okay, yeah, it makes sense if there's something really bad. Then I got sick. And then after that, everyone kept telling me how I still had to get the vaccine. And I'm like, no, it's called natural immunity. It works, And then they were like, no, you really do, or you are a bad person. Right. In fact, it's your fault because Granny's dying. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, none of it believe it or not, made any sense whatsoever. And then so I'm like, you don't get this is the amazing thing when you come to America. All right, you come to America and you get infected with this thing called freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, listen, I'm in the home of freedom right now in Texas. So I'm like, no, you don't get to tell me what I do. And you certainly, and then they started saying, well, I know kids like don't have any symptoms or anything like that, but you should vaccinate them as well. I'm like, absolutely
right.
No
How many
way.
kids do you have?
I have 9 kids.
Good. Things are prolific at the Marsden house.
I bounce back pretty well. I mean, there's a little bit of like...
I bet your belly looks like shit. You need some of that Genucel.
I do. I need to rub it on all over. But yeah, so I was just like, no. This is getting ridiculous now. So it was a combination of lack of logic and critical thinking and bullying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, F you do not get to bully me. And then, a lot of my friends in the industry were like, well, if you want to go and do a job, then just get a fake vaccine card. I'm like, no, I'm not. I didn't come to America
to fake it.
To fake it. Like, this means something to me. Like, maybe this is, and at that point, we didn't know which way it was going to go, right? We didn't know. I'm like, I get to maybe once in my life get to stand up for something that means something.
Yeah.
And there is no way that I'm going to inject that into my kids. Like, you will have to kill me.
Yeah.
There's no way.
I see the Pfizer commercial with Travis Kelce that plays for the football team, and he's got the flu and the vax in the Pfizer deal. And I don't know. We never confirmed it, but something like the word $20 million was tossed around for doing a deal like that. It's like, would you sell your soul for $20 million to throw the Band-Aids on there? Of course, I would not. Everybody, I guess, has a certain price. I just couldn't do that. I'm willing to talk about it. I mean, I'm listening to the conversation.
$21
million. And yeah. But I see that and I go, okay, what is somebody's price on any of that stuff? But then the other thing that I'm looking at is I go, people were saying, hey, you get a fake vaccine card to go to a concert or whatever, because they're not going to let you in. I was like, I'm not going to betray myself to go to a concert. Like, if I stand for something, there's no price on it, whether it's a concert or a paycheck or anything else. I can't do that. I'm just not wired that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No matter what the cost is.
Yeah, I do. And I think that, that this is, I always say it's not like we're storming the beaches at Normandy, right?
Yeah.
But it matters. Like, having integrity matters. And I think that, especially in a world where we have such weak leaders, that you want at least some people to stand up. And what was incredible for me is the amount of feedback I got from people. Because I'm like, in all honesty, look, I'm like, I don't know why anyone cares what an actor has to say. I really don't. To me, I'm like, if people would leave me alone, you would never know anything about me, right, at all. And I certainly wouldn't come on and talk about it. I mean, I don't mind talking about projects and all that, but I'm not going to talk about like politics or personal things. But now these things have completely bled into our everyday lives, where you can't, go to a store without being told, put a mask on. I'm like, well, clearly the mask doesn't stop the virus, right? Like, clearly it doesn't. Right. We've already shown this. Everyone, you put your mask on. And then what's I think even more disappointing was the churches that shut down, and they were like, no, you can't come in without masks on. I'm like, you are the people that should be the ones that are saying it doesn't matter if we die, right? I mean, you should be willing to minister to people. But to me, it was a line in the sand, even though it might have been a very minor one. And what I got was a lot of feedback, as I was saying, from people that were saying, hey, listen, we feel really alone. Thank you for saying something. And I'm like, wow, if saying something on Twitter can help one person in a positive way, then it's worth doing it. And then there you go. And of course, I actually did a really innocuous tweet where I said about how I'd lost work. I was like, well, of course I've lost work. Everyone knows there was a mandate for that. And it went absolutely viral. It went everywhere. And I was like, I didn't really expect that to happen. But I think it was more that people are like, look, this is ridiculous. And like you say, is it worth a $20 ticket to a band who, by the way, are total frauds now because they're so like not rock and roll and against the man? It's a joke.
Yeah. Well, my buddy Brad Skistimus with 5 Times August, he just came out with his new song just the other day
great.
With our new record label. It's not rock and roll. I mean, and that he's calling them all out. And it's funny how all these so-called rock stars are blocking him on X or Twitter, and because he's calling them out. So you guys were all counterculture, and now you're to the man.
Here's the thing for him. Not only is he super talented, and that's a great song, but also he is calling them out. And he's saying, look at you guys, you created this mystique, this rock and roll lifestyle. You actually corrupted generations of people in saying that this is the way, like, screw the man, sleep with as many women as you can, throw televisions out there. And actually it's all BS. They're not that at all. Like all these rebellious lyrics, it doesn't mean anything.
Not a thing.
No. And
corporate shills.
Well, it really did expose a lot of people, I think. I think it exposed Big Pharma. I think it exposed, a lot of doctors. And now have you noticed they're like totally memory holing it? They're just saying, it didn't exist.
Yeah, just sweep that under the rug.
They're not even saying, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry for what we did to you when we said that you should be refused health care. Right? Let's remember what they said.
Yeah, Gene Simmons said, these people should just die. I mean,
they said you should go off and die and be refused health care.
Yeah, they shouldn't have anything.
And here's the sad thing. While most people who were against the mandates or I don't even like saying against this. It's just that I don't you pushing it on me. Right. Like you want to go do it. But all we said, and I maintain this all along, is we're saying this for you as well. Like it's not for us. You're ignoring all this data that is coming out, and it was there. There was a lot of data, even at the very beginning, that this was ridiculous. I mean, if you can't figure out that someone's saying that in a place, as Jon Stewart said, right? He said, in a place where there is something called the Wuhan Institute for Virology, right? In Wuhan, and the virus comes from Wuhan, it's probably got out of the Wuhan Institute for Virology. I'm just, we said about Hershey's. Which is brilliant. I mean, he clearly wasn't created from a bat, right? And even now, people still say that.
Yeah, idiots. Idiots.
But it's really concerning to me. I always think about, I read Jordan Peterson's book and seen multiple interviews that he's had, and we all like to think, he says we all like to think that we would stand up against the brown shirts, right? We all say, we're the ones that are going to stand up, and not at all.
We're not standing up to shit.
Not at all. Everyone's like, give me my cell phone, give me my Soma, let me carry on with my comfy life. Don't. And look, there's no worse place, actually, I hate to say it, than Texas, because Texas is, Texans have been lulled into a false sense of security.
False sense of security and comfort.
About everything about this state. And this is the crown jewel. How many times have we said it on Sarah's show as well? Like Texas is the crown jewel, yet you've seen Drag Queen Story Hour. You've seen millions and millions of people.
Pornography in our school libraries.
Pornography in the school
open borders.
I mean, the school boards are completely shocking.
Yeah.
And the fact that Texans aren't like, you know what? I'm not going to work today. I'm going to go out to the school and we're going to protest it. We don't. We just don't do that.
Right.
The left does all the time.
All the time. Hang tight. All right, let's take a break. Get in some more stuff. We'll keep escalating. All right, guys. No matter where your adventures take you this fall, Bespoke Post has a box of awesome to make it just that, more awesome. The box of awesome is filled with carefully chosen gear from the best small brands around the world. I got tons of stuff this month. I get multiple boxes of these things, and it's one of my favorite subscriptions out there. I actually bought the little thing that hooks on the back of your... This is how frou-frou I am. I add to my box every month. I bought the little thing that hooks onto your tailgate off the back of your truck, and it's a little wine and charcuterie board. Sticks right off the back.
Dude, you are totally not a man of the people.
That's next level,
I'm telling you, I don't
baby.
want to hear that like I'm a man of the people.
And it's some fine, stinky cheese.
You're
But it hooks right on the deal. I bought it for my girlfriend and her parents. They've turned me that. They've turned me that. Hey, go over to boxofawesome.com. Take a quiz. Your answers will help them pick the right box of awesome for you. You might get a frou-frou little wine tray. They release new boxes every month across tons of different categories. Each box is valued at about $70, but you pay a fraction of that price. Plus, with each box of awesome, you're supporting small businesses. 90% of everything that comes in your box of awesome is from a small up-and-coming brand. It's free to sign up. You can skip a month. You can cancel anytime. No pressure. 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com. Use code WatchChad at checkout. Boxofawesome.com, code WatchChad for 20% off your first box. That's boxofawesome.com. We'll be right back. Sitting here talking about comedians. You know, Chappelle, the compelling thing for me with Chappelle and a Bill Burr is the way they say something, not necessarily the words that come out of their mouth. Now, Bill Burr will pop off with some pretty genius stuff. You've seen his abortion bit that he does about baking a cake.
Yeah.
You know, somewhere in the process you're baking the cake and you just pull that thing out of the oven and just it ain't nowhere near done. You just sling it on the floor. Mom's gonna be pissed off, right? Like that's a pretty good bit. It's very eye-opening in the way he did that. But yeah, a lot of those guys, Ricky Gervais, is so much of the way those guys say things, the way they say them, the timing, the nuance, the voice. I wish I had a British accent.
It's not all okay. It is. It's awesome.
Now I had to watch Bridget Jones' Diary 3 times to know what anybody was saying.
Right. Yeah.
Like for her to do that part, and she's not even British.
Yeah, she's. You know, the funny thing is, and I do want to say this before we move on, is that comedy. Yeah. I don't think people truly understand how tough that is. It is. I always say it's like if anyone has ever boxed or fought and they've been in a ring, which I've done. Yeah. It's the loneliest place in the world, and comedy is right there with it. It is hard.
My girlfriend, we had a conversation not long ago about intuition and just being able to read a room and be able to read people. And I said, you understand? I said, every night I walk out in front of hundreds of people who are total strangers, and I have about 60 to 120 seconds to figure that room out before I really get into the show. That's why you want to break the ice right there at the front, get pretty much everybody laughing, and then you got to see how far can I take these people? Where can I take them? Because a guy like Bill Burr or Dave Chappelle, they can take them wherever the hell they want to take them because they got 20,000 people in the room. They can afford to do it. A guy like me, you kind of want to. People come into my shows with a preconceived expectation. Some people think they're going to church. Some people think they're going to a political rally. Some people think they're going to, I'm just going to rant on things for an hour and a half, or maybe I'm going to do music. They don't know. So, but it is difficult.
It's the most. And I've done theatre and in my training as well. I had an option to do stand-up, and I was like, no. Yeah. Like, I have no desire to do that because I think it's a real gift. If ever you've seen any of those comedy workshops where people go like, it's not your thing. No. It really isn't your thing.
Yeah, every now and then when we did it in Kansas City, at the Comedy Club a couple of weeks ago, we had a Thursday night show. We were there all weekend long. And so my opener and I, we stayed for their open mic night. And they had a great open mic community. Not every comedy club has a great open mic community. This one actually did. A lot of the people were really funny, a lot of potential, a lot of really good stage presence and things like that. But I've been to some where it's like your parents should have had a conversation with you before you went on American Idol to try out.
Well, this is it. You think that people watching American Idol, I always say this, like people watching American Idol would think, you know what? That person can't sing. Yeah. Maybe I should reassess my evaluation of myself, right? I mean, it's just true. I mean, the amount of people as well that say, oh, it's, I remember my wife who was a ballerina. We were in
9 kids ago.
We were in Hollywood, and a friend of mine went over to her and said, you should act. And she was like, no, I can't act. And the person said, no, anyone can act. And she said, you know what? You have no idea what my husband puts into this. Like, there is talent there. And yet, a lot of it is to do with camera angles. And I mean, like I was saying, when you do a special, right, apart from, maybe the lighting, it's you.
Yeah.
It's just you. With an actor, it's the lighting, the DP, it's the script.
There's the best boy and the gaffer,
I know,
and the grip.
I know. I'm always like, whenever they say those things, I'm like, why do they come up with those silly names?
It's funny.
But no, I mean, it's comedy is really quite something else.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm full of admiration for people that can do it.
Well, I think it's necessary, right? On certain levels. It's necessary because you can disseminate free thinking. That's why they're always attacking comedy, right? I mean, you go all the way back, Lenny Bruce, George Carlin, they put those guys in jail, right, for violations of speech laws. Today, they just cancel people. And so putting the transference of ideas from my brain to your brain with zero filter between us, like there's no algorithm. There's no chicken wire between us to catch the beer bottle if they throw it at you or the tomatoes they're throwing at the stage. It's just you're putting yourself out there. Here, I'm sacrificing my brain at the altar of your receptors or whatever. They don't want that type of thing happening. They want to limit that kind of deal because, again, on social media, they can control that algorithm. They hear a word in a video, they don't want that to get out. Boom, they just throttle the thing.
But I think that it all goes back to like a fundamental misunderstanding of the human condition, right?
Yeah.
Like of what makes us who we are, right? And I think the left, for the most part, thinks if I limit this, it's going to eradicate it.
Yeah,
it's never got into trouble. It doesn't. I got into trouble the other day because I said you'll never eradicate racism ever. It's never going to go away. You can't. I mean, kids when kids are brutal, right? Like you go to school with kids and they'll be like, "Hey, big nose. Hey, sticky out ears. Hey, tall." They'll come up with some reason.
Yeah.
To poke fun at you, and I think that there's this kind of misconception that you can sanitize everything, and of course any kind of utopia is utopia for one person. It's totally not utopia for somebody else, so it means oppression in one way, shape or form. So but I think that comedy is a necessary release valve for these things that we need to have. Like, look, I've been in a situation where I've heard comics say things that I find completely offensive, and you just like suck it up, buttercup, right? Because the next thing they say is funny. And you don't have a right not to be offended, right? I mean, it's ridiculous. You should, comedians should push the envelope. They should say these kind of things. And for the most part, I mean, when you are not funny, because look, most comedic things that people find funny are things that they recognize, right? And that comedians will highlight, right? That we might know are absurd.
Yeah.
Or we might know that they're flaws in our own personalities, right? But the people that want to ban that, it's almost like they don't understand or they're not comfortable with being a human being and having certain feelings, right? Or having certain thoughts, right? And the importance of that is that if you do think something that is in error, that you can express it, or you see someone else expressing it and you see it worked out. And doing it in comedy is the best way. Yeah. Right? It should be. It should be. Yeah. Is to work it out so you like laugh at it and you can
laugh at it. You can laugh at it while you process it.
Yeah.
I made a video this morning, put it on social media. Somebody gave me the best compliment. They said, "It's amazing to me how Chad can say serious things with humor." And I'm like, that's to me
that's the point.
Compliment you can give me. I'm going to give you an expression of free speech after the break. We're going to go to one real quick, and I'm going to show you. I'm okay with people saying things that I don't necessarily agree with, and when I show you what I'm going to show you, you'll see exactly what I mean. All right, so hang tight. New partner with the show. It is a pretty cool little deal. BetDSI.com. BetDSI.com. NFL is back. And BetDSI is where you can bet and make extra money. That's right. That's right. Right now, my audience gets a 100% bonus match up to $1,000. That is double your money with promo code CHAD. I spell it Chad. Bet with the good folks on the NFL, the NBA, the MMA. You can bet on politics. I think bet on everything, man. Play, win, get paid. If you want the opportunity to win big on that money, go to betdsi.com. Use promo code Chad. You can even bet on the 2024 elections. Why not? BetDSI has been a leader in the industry for over a decade. We're happy to have them on our show. BetDSI.com, promo code Chad. Remember, please, to bet responsibly. We'll be right back. All right, take a look at this picture. This is from earlier in the week. This is a BLM protester. I promise you that's not a black person parachuting in with the Palestinian flag over the parachute saying, "I stand with Palestine." Brandon, what does that say?
It says, "That is all, that is it."
That is all, that is it.
Yeah.
And apparently this was in Chicago. This is a BLM protester parachuting in, paragliding in, whatever you call that.
Yeah, they're like, we're not going to land and help anyone in Chicago that really needs it. We're going to just go right over it. Yeah. I'll believe those guys when they start doing things in those communities of these kids that are getting murdered. I mean, it is ridiculous.
Well, Amari Stoudemire from the NBA, who is professed Jewish, he came out the other day with a big FU to all of BLM saying, y'all are silent on this when they're doing this to Israel. Well, I mean, if I don't know that you could be considered an unofficial statement on the part of BLM, but I'd say that stands pretty solidly with where their Marxist ideologies tend to lie.
Yeah.
So, but that's an expression of free speech, and I'm okay with your stupidity to do that.
You're free to be dumb.
You're free to be dumb, and you could do that, and we can make fun of it, we can ridicule it, and we can tell you that that's a house of cards built on a very strong fault line and big wins, where that ideology is going to... It's not one that would like that ideology is not going to get you places in most parts of the world. Like, take it to Gaza, and I promise you, they don't care if you're carrying their flag or not.
Yeah, well, it's like the Mia Khalifa thing, isn't it? We were talking about off camera. That she would be stoned to death if she tried to pull that, like, just for being who she is and what she's
a
done.
Porn star. She does a video. It's a threesome with a hijab on, and
it's over.
And boom, she's going to talk about being pro-Palestine and resistance fighters, and but she goes over there, boom, she gets raped, she gets murdered, she gets raped again, and it's barbaric.
Well, I mean, part of the problem, I think, with social media, and again, like I said earlier in the show, like, I would never have said anything or made any comments. That's not my place, I don't believe, to do. I just kept getting shoved to do it.
Thrown into
that you don't, not everyone has to have a stance on something. You can just be quiet. Sometimes it's best to do that, like not say anything. I mean, saying that, the BLM thing, which was always puzzling to me, and for people that don't know this, they literally had on their website that they were for the disintegration of the family unit.
Yeah.
So from the very beginning, I came out, I'm going against what I just said, but I was like, I'm not down with BLM. And, oh my gosh. Oh, we know why. Why? Tell me why. No, we know. And tell me why. I'm completely against that. And by the way, the fact that the two founders, I believe it was the two founders, were Marxist. Yeah. I'm not down with that either.
Right.
Do I think that, Black Lives Matter? Every life matters. A Black Lives Matter. A white life
Unborn
matters.
Lives matter.
Doesn't
elderly
matter.
lives matter.
But this is the ridiculousness. Like, we're sitting there again. We're sitting there in the same way for comedy. You're free to say whatever you want. Like, we're saying, like, okay, we think all of these things matter. They don't have to be separated out.
Yeah. Like,
nobody can sit there and say that they want Palestinian children to be killed.
Yeah.
Or any, lives lost. This is what I don't understand. When you look at the people parading around cheering, going, yeah. I'm like, why are you cheering?
Mm-hmm.
Why is this?
What are you celebrating?
What are you celebrating?
Yeah.
You celebrate, like, either side. Everyone's I mean, of course, we have our thoughts that are pretty much aligned on who is in the right and who is in the wrong on this.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's tragedy, right? And it's not to be celebrated. Yay, we're going to war with Germany. Everyone's like, no, this is a really solemn moment. Like, people are going to get killed on both sides. Innocent people are going to get killed. It's not, this is the irony as well about going on about mean tweets.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I hate the mean tweets, but, it's
willing
okay
to give
to
up
go
a
to
whole
war.
lot of stuff. Yeah. All right, hang tight. Got to go to the final break here. Hey, guys, cleaning guns is one of those necessary hassles in life. You hate to do it. Sometimes it's a dirty job, but you got to do it. The patches are messy. They're inefficient. The rope cleaning elements, like those bore snakes, they use that two-color pattern, which can hide the dirt when it comes through the barrel. That's not good enough. Fortunately, I found a much better solution. It's Barrel Buddy. Barrel Buddy compresses to fill the interior of your gun's barrel, making sure to clean the rifling grooves, and comes in 7 different sizes to match any caliber firearm you own. Barrel Buddy is composed of polymers that don't leave behind a residual particle, so it's safer as well, which is an amazing concept. Cleans by scrubbing and collecting the particulates, then absorbs any remaining residue, buffs the interior surface clean. You can even lubricate your firearm while you're cleaning it. Cleaning your gun, it is a really important step in being a responsible gun owner, and Barrel Buddy is a totally new concept. It's a better way to take care of your firearm, so get some today. I guarantee you'll love them. Go over to barrelbuddy.com today. Once again, that's barrelbuddy.com. All right, Matt, there's never enough time for us. We'll have to get you back. I
would love to, dude.
Where can people find you so they can come harass you?
They can get me on Matthew D. Marsden and on Twitter. What is it? X?
X, I think.
X.
I'm starting to get used to saying X at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still tweet things though.
It's confusing.
You're supposed to post. You're supposed to post and repost.
Yeah. So it's Matthew D. Marsden.
D. Marsden.
Yeah, Matthew D. Marsden. Yeah.
Big D.
Big D, baby.
Matthew D. Marsden.
Matthew D. Marsden.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
You gonna have any more babies?
Maybe.
Might as well.
After
your wife found something she likes, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. If someone could explain to me how this keeps happening, I'd like to know.
Your wife knows.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine who pulled up and had a bunch of kids pulled up in their car, and someone was like, "How many kids have you got?" And she had 6. And then, well, yeah, because you'd be surprised about how people react. In Texas, it's totally different. Everyone's really sweet.
Yeah.
In California, they treat you really badly. But and she gave the best line. She went, "Well, maybe I'll stop when I have an ugly one." All the kids are gorgeous.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Well, y'all put together a fantastic genetic gene pool there. So kudos to y'all.
Thank you.
All right.
Doing my best.
Matthew Marsden, check him out. He's on the silver screen. He's on your TV screen. Go find his independent film, I Am That Man, and check that out. You can do a little Google search and find that. I Am That Man. It's a great film that Matthew made, and he's responsible for it. You'll like it. Love the message of it. All right. WatchChad.com is where you can find me, and so much less sophisticated. WatchChad.com, but it is where all the fun stuff is. Come find me out there. I will be in Birmingham Friday night, and then next week bouncing around Texas, heading up to Oklahoma. There's tons of shows coming up, and I want you to be there, so check it out. If you haven't subscribed to Blaze, get the overtime tomorrow, blazetv.com/Chad. We'll see you later. Love you. God bless you. Bye.